So, you've got diabetes. Can you win? Good morning. My name is Susan, and welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your subscription. This video is going to be the first of many videos in a series of step-by-step instructions on how I reverse my type 2 diabetes and how countless others has as well, so that you will know what you can do to combat your diabetes and see success as well. I'm confident that a lot of you will see a reversal in your type 2 diabetes. And if you're type 1, you will get great control over it. Okay. The first step is to understanding the differences in diabetes. Type 1 is usually brought on in childhood due to an autoimmune disease. And the best way for me to explain it is it's like the autoimmune disease views your pancreas one day as an enemy of the body and attacks your pancreas and effectively makes your pancreas where it doesn't work anymore. So it no longer produces the insulin that you need. So you have to inject insulin yourself. And as of right now, you're not able to reverse that. And I'm sorry about that. But good news is you can get control over it to prevent complications of diabetes and or even begin to reverse any complications that you have developed. Okay. Type 2 is brought on through dietary choices. You've heard about how if we take too many antibiotics, we can become resistant or immune to said antibiotic. It's the same thing. So every time we put something in our mouth, whether it be a drink or food, we have an insulin reaction. Our pancreas senses, that we've ate something or drank something, and it says, "Oh, okay, something's coming down the line. Let me give you some insulin." So at least in America, I can't speak for other countries, but in America, we tend to eat breakfast, have a snack, eat lunch, have a snack, eat dinner, have a snack. And the cycle just repeats and repeats and repeats. And so we're constantly putting food in our mouth. And if we're not putting food in our mouth, we're having drinks. Coffee with sugar and creamer in it. Now, mine's black. But but usually, we have creamer and sugar in it, so that's a there's a flavor there. So our pancreas don't even know what we're eating or drinking. It just it senses through that flavor of something that we're consuming, and it needs to give us insulin. So even those sparkling ice waters that are sweet because of the artificial sweetener in it, it may not spike you at all. It may not move your blood sugar, but there's an insulin reaction there because your taste buds essentially sends a signal to your pancreas, and your pancreas is like, "Oh, something's coming in. Let me give you some insulin." So sometimes you can fake your pancreas out, so to speak. And then, but anyways, with all the eating and the drinking that we do, we're uh, we're overdoing the insulin in our body, and so eventually our cells become resistant uh, to our insulin. So the type 2's problem is not that we don't make insulin; we make plenty of that. Our cells don't receive it because we're so resistant to it. Therefore, we can't bring our blood sugar down into the normal range. So that is the difference in type 1 and type 2. Um, the next step is to understand why it is important to always check your blood sugar and how to check your blood sugar. Uh, if you're not checking your blood sugar, you have no idea what food is good for you or what food is bad for you. When I was first diagnosed with diabetes, my doctor's advice to me was literally eat all the carbs that you want. Just make sure that they are the good carbs and not the bad carbs. Well, if I can be frank, that was horrible advice. All the carbs that I want, essentially eating that was what made me diabetic in the first place. And because of the glucometer meter, my glucose monitor, I have learned that there is no such thing as a good or a bad carb. The good carb would be with something that has a lot of fiber in it. And oh, well, your blood sugar won't spike if you have a lot of fiber. Well, it will slow the spike down, but I will still have it. It's just delaying it. It's not good for you. So you can learn that out for yourself by checking your blood sugar every time you eat something. Okay. Um, so get you one of these. This is a glucose monitor. They're relatively cheap. They always come with I'm going to call it a sticker because I don't, there's a proper name for it, but I can't think of the name for it right. Oops, sorry. Right now. But one of these things, and it's what you use to actually stick your finger with. Now, this one is not the one that came with mine. This one was specially bought by my sister. She sent it to me. I have a really hard time with needles, and so I was really terrified when I began to do this. And this one was actually developed for kids. That's how ridiculous I am, right? I had to use a kid's one to make it not hurt so much. And but this one also has a built-in vacuum on it, so to speak. So after you stick your finger, you usually have to squeeze your finger around the area to get the blood to come up to the surface. This one I don't have to even do that. It pulls the blood up for me, and so I thought that was pretty neat. But anyways, um, it's important that you overcome that fear of needles because you're gonna have to do this, okay? And this way you can know for sure what is good and what is bad for you. Um, you want to check it right before you meal. And after you eat, take it about 30 minutes. You can see, and they'll give you a little ideal, but always take it at least an hour after you eat. Okay. Because if you just take it at the 30-minute mark, you're not seeing the true rise that you got from whatever it is you ate. And it may make you think falsely that something is okay for you to eat. Okay. I know a lady who told me that she checked it 30 minutes after she ate and she didn't see much of a rise. So she thought that, potatoes was good for her to eat, was okay for her to eat, that she could handle them. She didn't realize that that's not when you need to take it to see the full spike. You take it about an hour afterwards, okay? And I promise you, potatoes are never good for a diabetic to eat, okay? So if you take it an hour after you eat that potato, you're going to see that your blood sugar is going to go sky high, okay? Potatoes are not your friend. Um, and then as far as insulin resistance, you see that you'll take it at the 2-hour mark. And a healthy person who is not diabetic and don't have any insulin resistance, their blood sugar at the 2-hour mark should have returned back to what their blood sugar was pre-meal. Okay. If your blood sugar was, we'll say 85 before you ate, and then your blood sugar after you ate was 110, at the 2-hour mark, your blood sugar should be back to 85. If it is 95, you have some insulin resistance, okay? So that's a good way and a cheap way to determine just how resistant you are and go from there instead of having some blood work done, you know, so cost-effective way. And so that way when you're like getting told by a doctor to eat all the carbs you want, you're going to learn yourself through the glucose meter that carbs are not your friend. Okay. Carbs and sugar are the culprit. So there are 4 different types of nutrients in a food. It's fat, uh, protein, carbs, and sugar. Fat has very little to no effect on your insulin at all. Protein will make your blood sugar rise, so it has an insulin effect, but not a lot. Carbs and sugar has a lot of effect on your insulin and on your sugar. Okay. So you need to start cutting out your carbs and sugar. And if you are already diabetic, you'll probably want to make sure that you lower your carbs to below a total carb count of 20 grams a day. Okay. Don't fall into the fallacy of net carbs. That's no such thing. That is a marketing gimmick. I fell for that, just so you know. I did fall for that the first few months that I was doing this, and but I quickly learned that total carbs was definitely the correct way of going to do this. All right, um, and that's how you also will determine for yourself what is good because diabetics can be different to a degree. Okay, there are some what they call low carb tortillas out there by Mission, made by Mission. Um, Pay attention to the total carbs, okay? This is also what got me. I was going by the net carb. I thought, oh, it's only got, like 3 net carbs, and this is great. I ate one of those tortillas. I made a tuna fish wrap out of it, and my blood sugar spiked. Now, there are other diabetics who have said, well, as long as they only eat like one at their meal, that it's fine. They don't bother them. It did spike me, and so in that way, we're different. But there are foods that no diabetic should be eating. Potatoes, the rice, none of that is good. Okay, uh, so make sure you are checking your blood sugar always. And so once you start learning what is good and what is bad, you won't have to check your blood sugar as often. But anytime you eat and something new that you've not ate before, you'll need to check your blood sugar, make sure it's still proper for your body. Okay. All right. So I think that's where I'm going to leave off on this video. And so if you haven't got yourself a glucose monitor, make sure to do so. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much.